Hello everyone and welcome back to another Daniel Does video. As you could see, nice and cold. It has actually been snowing last night and now it's quite surprising actually, because we've only had snow one time and that was actually quite a while ago, and they are even saying that there is going to come even more snow tonight, so it's quite interesting, quite fun to see real winter again. I know we were doing a series on my trusty old Johnson, which comes from 1969, but I thought, well, let's do a different kind of video which is going to be useful for some other people too, and that video is going to be how to remove and how do you call it? On an old Johnson / Evinrude 6-horse. Now I actually got another one. As you can see, this is a Johnson Seahorse 6-horse. Wow. This is another Johnson Seahorse. It's a 6 horsepower 2-stroke and it dates from 1974 probably, I think. So this is younger than my original or my first one, and I'm going to make some more videos about this, also do a walk around, even some maintenance on this particular Johnson. Not in today's video though. Today is just going to be about the carburetor and how to maintain them. So without further ado, let's dive straight into fuel and oil and all that good mechanic stuff. Alright, so here we have it. Here it is. Beautiful Johnson stickers and all that good stuff. Seahorse. Downside, this is a plastic cover, but doesn't really matter. It's a nice Johnson. Alright, so where we are going to start is you take off the cover. Here's the inside. Another bonus, there's actually a pull starter on here.
Nice.
So makes starting it a lot easier. It's quite hard to actually get to this carburetor on these type of engines. You have the Johnson Fisherman, really similar, and you have of course this Johnson, and they both have one particular nut that's extremely hard to get to because it is behind the pull starter, which makes it extremely difficult to get to, and it takes a lot of effort to get it back on, more than to get it off. So yeah, some parts we're going to need to take off before actually removing the carburetor are the ridge lean adjustment, the choke, 2 nuts, fuel line, and that's it. But there are also some different things we need to loosen, and that is the throttle linkage thing right here, the pull starter, and yeah, that's it. Those are the things you need to take off. So now let's go. Also some really simple tools. I'll explain what tools you will need beforehand. Alright, the tools you're going to need to remove the carburetor are a flat-headed screwdriver like this, 10 and 11 millimeter wrench like this, pair of scissors or things you can use to cut through a tie rip, and also a ratchet with extensioner and the 8 millimeter. These are the tools you're going to need to remove the carburetor. We are not going to talk about the tools which you will use to maintain the carburetor yet. Alright, you're going to start, let me just take my jacket off. You're going to start by removing the 2 bolts that are connected to the pull starter. There's a bolt here and a bolt behind here. And to loosen them you use the 8 millimeter socket with extensioner. That's one. That's 2. If you completely pull out the pull starter, you're going to get a mess of a spring that's just going to completely unwind, and you don't want that. You just want it to go to the side. Be careful, don't pull it completely out, because then you will have a nightmare of winding the spring back together again, and that's not fun. Believe me, I've done it, and it's a painstakingly long job. Now, after you have removed the pull starter, you're going to loosen up the starter or the throttle mechanism here, because else you can't get to the nut on the right hand side. Now you take the flat-headed screwdriver and you loosen up this bolt. Remove the bolt and lay this aside so you don't lose it. And then after that you take the 11mm side of your wrench and unbolt these bolts. Nuts, actually, excuse me, not bolts. This is probably going to be the most boring task of the day. I'm quite sure about that. The left side is not so hard, but the right side, that one is the most irritating. Who invented it to be this way? I can't even get to it properly. The last thing I want is to have the spring in my face. As you can see, I'm having some troubles with unbolting. Unnutting. It's not a bolt. Maybe this is the smartest to do at last, but hey, I already did it. No stopping me now, baby. I don't know why I said baby. Some people say it. I did now. After that, you want to completely unscrew the rich lean adjustment. Low speed adjustment, actually, is what it's called. Says it under here at least. After that, remove the choke. Normally this is fastened by some kind of a pin and a small ring, but mine is fastened with a small bolt. I think it's a pretty good fix, but if you have the original pieces for the choke, there's like meant to be a little pin and a ring, but in my case there's just a small bolt. And then after you've loosened the bolt, you can just put it straight out. A tip I recommend you doing after you've taken the choke knob out, put the, in my case, bolt and nut back on here so you don't lose it, because that's probably why there is a bolt and a nut on here and not like a small pin, because they probably lost it. After that, the only thing left is to remove the fuel hose, disconnect the fuel hose. In my case it's fastened with a, I think you call it a tie rip. Correct me, editor, if I'm wrong. Yeah, which goes to like the fuel pump. And this is where this comes in. Be careful not to accidentally cut through your fuel line, because then you're going to have a fuel leakage, which is fire and explosive hazardous, and also harmful for the in the water living organisms. So be careful. I'm not saying this outboard is really environment friendly, because probably isn't. Still, here you have the broken tie rip thing, which you can't use anymore. You can just throw that in a bin. Now, careful not to rush this, because if you rush taking the fuel line off, there is actually a chance that if you accidentally bend the connector, which is made of brass, you can actually break it off, because brass is really fragile. Do it slowly, don't use scissors. Come on, don't use pliers, because you can break it and you can buy a new flow chamber, because it is connected, and if it's broken you have a bad day. Alright, so that is everything that needs to be taken off, and now you can see the carburetor is loose. Clear the workbench, make some space, maybe lay some cardboard down, because if you leak fuel on your workspace you're going to smell it for a really long time. By the way, I have a really nice Rode Video Mic Go, Just bought it yesterday. Really excited recording videos with it because the audio is just excellent. In comparison to my internal Nikon mic, that is. Now you can actually just, if we get back to the carburetor, you can just pull this off like this. Careful not to tip it. Transfer it to my cardboard here. So, here we have it. Let's start disassembly. Alright, so here we have the carburetor. It's also a smart thing to take something to catch all the fuel in, because if you have run it recently, there is going to be fuel inside the float chamber. Again, the tools we used to take off the carburetor are for the most part no use for us because they use all different sizes from now on. So the tools you're going to need now is pointy pliers, a flat-headed screwdriver. Those are actually probably the two only things that we used earlier. 12mm wrench. Yeah, that's the tools for now. I can actually stop telling you which tools you need to use. As you can see, it's leaking fuel. This is why I took, this is actually 11mm, not 12. Here's the reason why I can stop telling you which tools to use. Release the bottom drain plug thing. Ta-da! Now, as it's probably, put this aside, this too. Alright, now as it's mostly empty, I'm going to put this somewhere because my workplace is going to smell like petrol. Okay, the float chamber is connected to the upper part of the carburetor via 6 or, well, in my case 5, I think it's called screws in this case. Yes, let's say screws. 5 screws. So remove them. Okay, then after you have taken off all the screws, remove the bowl chamber, float chamber. I still have like the old floater, which is interesting because my other Johnson has like a plastic floater. This has like a, I forgot the name for it, but this is still like the old one. Here we have the gasket. Now let's see, to remove the float you need to take out this brass pin, and after that you should be able to just lift this out. Check if the needle is still in good condition, and it is, because I haven't had any leaking issues so far. After that you take a bigger screwdriver, put it here. Again, careful try not to damage any components here because it's quite fragile. The last thing you want to do is accidentally break stuff. Like that. Then remove this gasket here. Take another flat-headed screwdriver, smaller this time, to loosen up the main jet. Like this. After that, most of the carburetor parts of this is actually ready. I probably need to change this gasket here. It's quite flat, quite squished. Now I don't recommend you actually taking this off, because if there is still old gasket in here and you take it out, you can actually make it that the old gasket is clogging up the ridge lean adjustment, which probably already happened because someone has taken this, like this, meant to be like a small ball thing on here, but as you can see it's replaced for some kind of gasket, so it's probably already been maintenanced because of clogged adjuster. So I think I call it the adjuster. There's actually also, we can just put this aside, there's also actually something really interesting inside of, I don't even know if it's in here. Yes, it is. There is a really small jet in here. because you probably can't see it, but if you take a flat-headed screwdriver, which just fits in this hole, and put it in, you should be able, hopefully. It's quite tricky, this part. No. Alright, well, there also is a really small jet in here. Probably can't see it, but this can actually clog up too, and that is kind of the main fuel source to the main jet, and also the rich lean adjustment here, because it passes through in here. Let me just zoom in. Alright, so the fuel comes in here, probably. Now the fuel comes in here. Then it comes through this hole underneath and up here. This goes to the main jet and up here to like the main jet there. And also there goes like a small pipe through here and then up to, you can actually see it here, goes up here and then to the rich lean jet here, which goes up here, in here, and then down here, which adjusts your richness or leanness of your fuel. And if that's clogged, you are going to have a big problem, because there isn't actually coming fuel to your main jet, which is here. Oh, and now let's go further. After you've taken everything off, clean everything, blow it through with air, and then after you've done that, we'll put everything back together again. Alright, where you want to begin is putting the main jet back again. Screw it in like this. Take your flathead screwdriver like this. On is on. Don't want to tighten it too much, because you can damage it, as said earlier. After that, take the needle bolt thing. I don't know the technical name, but this piece, screw it in here. Again, not too tight. Take the float and the needle, position it so the needle goes in the little hole, like this. Put the little brass pin back, like this. And then, my float is actually a bit tricky, because it gets stuck on the main jet thing. So this isn't really free to move. Well, sort of. I mean, it's enough to make it work, but it isn't ideal. After that, take your good old gasket. You can actually change this, but everything on my carburetor is working and in a good functioning order, so I'm not going to replace it, just explain you how to completely take apart this carburetor. Put the gasket back, make sure, I think everything, yeah. Put the ball back, floater ball or float chamber, whatever you want to call it. Put the little screws, not bolts, screws, back, tightening them equally. Don't tighten one side completely, wait until all the screws are tightened slightly. Alright, now every screw is tightened slightly. Now you can begin with tightening and securing it. After that, important, the little drain plug bolt thingy, 11mm. Again, not tighten too much. On is on. Don't put too much pressure on it. Now we have actually completely taken apart and reassembled this. If you have a question about something or I didn't show all of it, you can ask me in the comments down below if I missed something. And you have any questions about this type of outboard or carburetor, feel free to ask me in the comments down below, and I will help you as much as I can. Now, as the carburetor is completely reassembled, it's the last thing to do is to put it back on the Johnson. Okay, so you take your carburetor like this and you just put it, let me see, you line up the holes and you just push it on like this. I know I should actually, maybe I should replace my gasket. I'm just going to do that and then I will get back to where I left. Okay, I had enough spare gasket, like a gasket piece, so I could cut out my own gasket. So I'm just using the old one from my other Johnson because it is in a better condition. Let me see, just put this on like this. Oh, like this. Take your carburetor, line up with the two holes, push it on, and now we're going to reverse the process. Going to begin with the nuts. These nuts.
Got him!
Okay, now as said earlier, the right one is the trickiest because there isn't actually any way to get to there. Interesting. Let me see. Yay! Now it turns easily. Okay, tightening them now. By the way, if you enjoy my content and want to see more and also want to support me, please consider to like and subscribe, turning on the notification bell, and let me know what you think about my content. Leave a comment and leave your thoughts. Well, not your thoughts, but let me know what you think about this channel and what you want to see more about on this channel. It doesn't only have to be outboards, can be whatever you want, because the channel is called Daniel Does for a reason. Again, not tightening them too tight. I'm learning to not tighten everything too tight, because if you put it on too loose, that's no problem. You're going to find out that it's leaking and you can always fasten it a bit tighter later on. But if you fasten it too tight and you accidentally break something, then you're even further from home and you need to repair parts or order new parts, and that's going to cost you a lot of money, especially on older outboards. So just put it on, well, it's a bit too loose to my comfort, and see what happens. If it's leaking, you can always tighten it later, especially with the bolts here, because they're quite easy to get to. Well, I say easy, but yeah. Okay, after that, put the fuel hose back on. Probably can't see this, but you know how to do it. It's just a matter of pushing. Push! Yeah, there we go. Let us now put the pool starter back on, because I'm afraid it's going to jump scare me every moment. Let me see. Turn this a bit. Line up the little hole. Okay, well, this went surprisingly smooth, but there is a big but here, and I'm going to show you what the but is. Let me see. Alright, so everything is lined up, and when I say everything, it's not only the bolts here or the holes here, but also the little pin thing here, because as you can see, this moves, and when you take this off or lift this up, big chance of you either pulling it out here, which is the best way of pulling it out, or you can actually pull it out from beneath here, which if you do it under here, you're going to have quite a hard time lining the little hole up beneath here. So want to make sure that before tightening it, this is lined up, the pool starter is on in the right way, and everything is correctly, because this is of plastic and you can actually easily break this if something isn't lined up correctly and you tighten it, which I've done before. I'm learning quite a few lessons the hard way, but just make sure if everything is lined up correctly. Okay, after that you take the, let me see, these bolts like this. Oh no.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
You're kidding. Okay. Irritating. How am I supposed to get to there? Oh, wait a second, there it is. Can see it. Come on. I can see you, but I can't get to you. Got him. Okay, so I can't push this in. You need to actually screw it in, interestingly enough. Looks good. Tightening it so it's nice and secure. Again, not tightening, and in this case it's quite important because it's of plastic and it is already cracked. It's already cracked on this side. So again, just a big lesson, don't tightening it too much. This is working. Nice. Maybe not the smartest, but this needs to go back. And you need to line it up here, sort of, in a way. And because now the pull star is in the way, I made it myself a lot harder. Okay, so I've done the hardest part, which is replacing the nuts. That doesn't sound right. Replacing the nuts on the threads. That sounds even worse. Alright, I replaced the two most irritating pieces to put on. I'm in a battle against another YouTuber with subscribers. That YouTuber is Big Brain Gaming. So if you want to support me on the battle against his subscriber count against mine, or whatever you want to call it, consider to like and subscribe, leaving a comment, hitting the thumbs up button and all that stuff. Where did I left off? Oh yeah. Choke knob. Well, first I'm going to get a tie rib, probably. A cable tie. These things. Like here, let me show you. These kind of things, which goes like yeah, just some plastic cable connectors. I'm going to use that to tighten my fuel line back on. Quite important, so I don't spill fuel everywhere. That's the last thing I want to do. Put it on the wrong way. No! Yeah. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Nice. Like that. Fuel lines on. Choke knob. This is the next piece I'm going to put on. Let me see. Probably can't see it so well. That's the difficulties I'm having. That's working. Alright. Choke knob working as it should. Alright, so these are the parts which I need to put on. The acceleration connection thingy bolt, this piece here, and also the rich lean adjustment, which is the next piece I'm going to fit back on. By the way, I do not have the rich lean adjustment knob, sadly. It's a bit of a bummer, but hey, at least I got the pull starter and prop and the choke knob. Let me see, all the way in and then 1.5 turns out, 2 turns maybe. Can't really tell when it is off what the right adjustment is. I'm going to have to see that when I put it in the water. Now this piece is going to be quite interesting because the pool starter is in the way again, as always. So I got some good news, guys. I didn't need to completely take off the carburetor again. Just needed to get the pool starter out of the way because that is what prevented me from putting this back. So now we should be able to just reinstall the throttle linkage again. Hopefully. Take my handy dandy pliers again. You're kidding. I could have just leave the pool starter loose. Excuse me. Because now there is no way for me to tighten the throttle linkage. Because I can't get there now. Look. Because I need to put this piece. I can't get there with a screwdriver. Because the pool starter is in the way. So much pain as a mechanic. Hey, it's my hobby. This is what it's all about. Installing and doing all that stuff. Yes, it's working. Haha. Okay, now let's refit the pool starter. Quite important as well. Okay, now if you did everything right, you shouldn't have any more pieces left to put on, as you can see, which in my case is what's happened. And now I think scope's working, this is working as well. Pool starter, yeah, no, it's stuck. Yeah, throttle, as you can see, and also the fuel hose is connected. There isn't anything more to do actually than put it in water and let's see if it starts. Let's hope it starts. Alright everyone, if you're still watching, it's day 2 actually, it's the next day. Because I thought, well, I can't record while there's snow outside because it would be a bit cold. But now, woke up this morning and looked outside the window and we have a bit of a situation because even more snow. So I had to do a lot of work. Firstly, before me actually doing anything, I firstly had to clean all of this from snow. Then I needed to clean the trailer from snow because it was also buried in snow. After that I carried the outboard out. Then after I carried the outboard out, I had to find my bricks somewhere under the snow because they were also buried in snow. And after I found the bricks, I had to carry my bucket and place it under the outboard, fill it up with water. I had to walk 3 times. Took quite a while, quite exhausting, especially after all that snow clearing. And now I think everything's ready to start it up. As you can see, I filled it up with snow. I filled it up with water and everything is ready to, hopefully, if I did everything right last night, it should be easy to start because I have already started, but I can't really tell before trying again. So let's do that next. Hope she will run. Open the fuel valve, pump the fuel inside. Because I haven't got any fuel connector, quick connector, I had to put the fuel hose. Well, take off the connector from my Yamaha tank. After that I had to connect the fuel hose directly to the fuel pump. So just completely ignore the fuel connector. And now I think everything is ready. Let me just make sure I'm recording. Alright, it's going to be a bit tricky because I took out the fuel rich, the rich lean adjustment, so it's now completely random and I need to find out what is the best setting. But now without further ado, let's see if she'll start. In neutral, put on start mode. Alright, so it runs, but she doesn't pump any water. So let me just manually put some water inside of the cooling channels to get it started. Alright, trial 2. Let's see some of that nice water flow now. Almost. She pumps beautifully. Nice! She runs perfect, like a new engine. Beautiful. Alright, so that's that. It runs, did everything right, didn't destroy anything. I hope it was a useful video for you. So if you had any problems with your carburetor on your Johnson, that those problems are now fixed and that you learned something new. And if you didn't watch this video to learn something, but just for fun, I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you want to see a more detailed video about this particular Johnson, I'm planning on making a more detailed video about this outboard, tell you how much it costs, when I bought it, from where I bought it, all that nice stuff, what I did on it, just a bit of information about this outboard and how I got it. But if you enjoyed and want to see more, consider to like and subscribe, turning on the notification bell so you get notified when I upload a new video, and also leave a comment and tell me what you thought about this video. But yeah, thanks for watching, hope I will see you in the next one, but until then, goodbye.